Hello everyone. In today's class, I'm going to explain to you about the header file. In the previous class, I've explained to you about variables, data type, and now we will learn how to write a program. So let's see the structure of the C program. First and foremost, over here I have the header file, that is #include studio.h. Then after that I have the main function, and inside the main function, to indicate the starting of the main, I use with the curly brace, the open curly brace, and after that I mention declaration of variable, and you will see here I mention it inside the square bracket. So it is optional. It depends on your program whether you need to declare a variables or not. And then we have input statements. Again, back this input statements, it is optional. It depends whether your program need to input the values or not. Then we have calculation or manipulation of data. Again, back it depends on your program whether you need to calculate or not. It is optional. And next we have the output statement. Remember, it's no use to do program without being deliver the output or the result of your program. Therefore, output statement is very important. And then last but not the least, we have the return statement. Again, return statement, it is optional. It depends on your main whether you want to return or you don't want to return. So before we will discuss all these things, let me explain to you about what is #include stdio.h. Like I mentioned, #include stdio.h is a header file. So what is header file? Header file means to include built-in files to your C library or your C++ library. It is also known as the preprocessor directive. So let me explain. First and foremost, when you check in your header file, we have what? #include stdio.h. We have the symbol hash over here. So let's see. This hash symbol we use to include what? The header file in our C program or in our C++ program. So the moment you mention #include, that means you use this #include for including the predefined function to your program. And then after #include, I mentioned that we have stdio.h. So what is the meaning of stdio.h? STD stands for standard, I stands for input, O stands for output, and .h is the extension of the header file. So stdio.h stands for standard input output header file. And this header file is useful for getting the input from the input device or the keyboard and the output result to display in the output device or the monitor. For example, to understand this one better, let me give you one example. Suppose you say that you have three variables in A, and the value of A is 5, B, the value of B is 6, and in S you calculate the sum of A and B, and then you write what? S is equal to A plus B. After that, like I mentioned, it's no point to write a program or to do program without deliver the output. Therefore, I print the value of S. In C, we used to write printf, we print the value of S, and the output will be 11. Over here, because I'm using the printf, therefore I require the header file what? stdio.h. Remember, without using this header file, no one can display the result to the screen, or no one can input the value through the keyboard. For example, let's say if you want to use the printf to display your output, or you use scanf to take the input from the keyboard, or you use getC function or putC function, remember these predefined function which is already built inside the C library, they stay inside the header file studio.h. Remember, these are known as predefined function. So whenever you use this function to uh, in your program, that time you require to use the stdio.h header file. Like I mentioned from the beginning, std stands for standard, I for input, O for output. So when you use the output function printf, you require to use the stdio.h header file. If you use scanf input function, you require to use stdio.h header file. Hope you understand, my dear student.